Hello everyone, welcome to the second talk show of Democracy Talks, where we all become frank, free, fair and secure in the name of democracy. With here we have on our second panelist today, we have Mr. Isaac K. Marak, Extra Assistant Commissioner, Election Department's East Khasi Hills District, Ms. Iban Kinteo Mauri, Managing Editor, The Northeast Today, Mr. Mayborn Lingdo, Writer and Assistant Lecturer, and Ms. Gargi Nandi, Talentica, Miss India, Global 2020. The Office of the Chief Electoral Officer, in collaboration with Meghalaya Model United Nations, have come up with this initiative to bring in voices together to talk on relevant matters, on matters that make an impact in the public, and especially in young people today who are our target voters for electoral practices. Thank you for my panelists for joining me today. I hope we have a wonderful experience together. Without further ado, I'd like to request, starting from this side, Mr. Mayborn Lingdo to introduce himself, followed by Ms. Eva Kinte.
Well, good afternoon or good evening. It depends on whatever the time of of the day the program is to be broadcasted. I am Mayborn Lingdo R. I am an assistant lecturer. I am also a writer, a social writer. I also work part-time with Doordarshan, Kendra Shillong. I am an announcer at All India Radio Shillong. I also work with Ganesh Das Hospital and Roberts Hospital part-time. And my hobby is to look out for the people, particularly the younger generation, because the younger generation at this point of time, they are so being left out. So it's time that we move forward, and it's also time that someone leads the way, and I'm very glad and I'm very happy that I am leading the way for my students first. The youths will come a little bit later on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayborn. Welcome. I refer to you as Sir, since you're an assistant lecturer. Okay, over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Iban Kinteo Mauri and I am the Managing Editor of TNT, The Northeast Today, which is a news website and it's based in Shillong. It caters to all the northeastern states of the country, and we basically cover news, and it's not just news but infotainment. So it ranges from your hard news, your gore news, your entertainment section, your sports and everything. And I've been in the profession for close to 11 years now. I started my journey as a reporter for the Shillong Times, and I worked there for 3 years, and after that I joined several electronic media houses. So, and after that I moved on to the digital media, and finally landed in TNT. I joined TNT as a field correspondent for Shillong, and then I joined in 2017 as a news editor, and in 2019 as managing editor. And I also work as a assistant news editor for Doordarshan Kendra Shillong on assignment basis, and I also do shows and moderate shows for them on topics and relevant issues, current issues. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Over to you, sir.
Hi, I'm Isaac K. Marak. I'm the Extra Assistant Commissioner for Election Branch in DC Office, Shillong. I'm a 2010 MCS officer, Meghalaya Civil Service Officer, and I have been associated with the Election Department for the past 10 years, and I'm a career bureaucrat.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Ms. Gargi, you've been in the news lately and we'd love to hear from you.
Hi everybody, good evening. My name is Gargi Nandi. I am Talentica, Miss India Global 2020. I am very proud and I'm very much honored today to share the panel with such amazingly talented people. I represented Meghalaya along with the other states, and I'm very proud to say that we have got the crown home, and I'm looking forward to inspire the youth of Meghalaya so that all of us from Meghalaya can show the rest of the country what potential we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sandy. So we have a very strong panel here today, ranging from a teacher, lecturer, someone who wants to change the life of his students, to someone who's in the media and really knows the ins and outs of media houses. We also have a bureaucrat to give us a view of what the government, and especially of what the Election Commission as well as the Office of the Chief Electoral Officer is doing when it comes to the topic at hand, as well as Ms. Gargi, who will be a youth rep for today, who will be representing the voices of young people as well as the aspirations of the young people. So the topic for today, of which this panel discussion has been brought in, is social media, a double-edged sword for youth electoral engagement. I think so over the years, we have realized that social media has become so important in our lives. We wake up in the morning, we check our phones, we check our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and they act as a news for us. Nowadays, young people, we rarely open newspapers. The mobile phone is enough for us to get up to date. But how true are the facts that come on social media? How true are the things that we read online is a question we say here. A double-edged sword. It can be used either way, to spread good news as well as fake news that has been in discussion in the forum. Ladies and gentlemen joining us and watching this broadcast, I invite each of you to take part in this discussion, not just by watching it. You can comment on it and we'd be happy to reply back. If you're watching through social media handles or through the YouTube channel, or if you'll be watching through news channels, we'd love if we hear from you through a mail or anything of that sort. With my opening remarks, I'd say we live in a very fast world. Digital India is India of today. More than ever, connectivity has reached its peak, especially with a new scene, a new change or a new actor acting here, that is COVID-19. Everything has become online. We're holding this discussion without audiences, but we know it will reach back to the masses because of the fact of the presence of social media. So we will not further anymore with my introduction. We've heard our panelists, and I'd like to start with Mr. Isaac K. Marak on his opening remarks, sir. Social media, sir, is very important, we agree. How well has the Election Commission, as well as the Office of the Chief Electoral Officer, used it to ensure that young people and anyone who uses social media gets awareness through social media, sir?
Basically, we have a website over there. We have the ECI website, which educates all the people who want to enroll or who want to know about the Election Commission and the election process in India, the democratic process of India. We also have now something called the Online Voters app, which enables you to enroll directly without coming to the DC office. Before, we had to come to the DC office, go and meet the enumerator, meet the officer concerned, get the Form 6 or a Form 7, Form 8, whatever you want to do, depending on what you want to do, and then meet him and then run around the officer and then get your voter ID card. Now that's not necessary anymore. You just download your Voters app, give your voters details in there, your name, your age, your address proof, age proof, your photograph, upload it, and the election ID card, EPIC, will reach you. It is sent to you. So there's no question of you coming and running around us. We run after you. So that's basically what the Election Commission has done. It has gone one step ahead. It's made everything online now. And if you have any complaints also, you can complain directly to the ECI through these websites.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. So that's sir's opening remarks, and I'd love to move over to Ms. Iba Kintiu, ma'am. Ma'am, you work in electronic media, which most probably depends on social media for its propagation. How important is it for electronic media houses, to ensure that the news, especially related to elections, because during elections is where the spicy news comes in, is where a lot of rumors goes around. How important it is to fact check those, and from your media houses, how ethically do you think that is to be done?
Okay, so when it comes to election news, especially now with the Assam elections approaching, so what we do is we have a team who works solely on election news. So this team is called a fact-checking team, where if information comes to the media house, what we do is we assign the team to fact-check either with the election department or either with the ECI and all those things, involved in the entire process. And we, as we had mentioned earlier, that the social media can be used in either way, good or bad. And we have faced several, we have seen several incidents where, instead of the correct news, fake news goes out. Like yesterday, the notification on the SSLC examination, that notification was issued, was sent, but later it turned out to be a fake news, and the MBOs had to clarify it on that news. So those are the things which, you know, people have to be very careful when it comes to sharing or forwarding these kind of messages. So from our part, what we do is we try to verify and cross-check and confirm this news before we give it out to the public. And since TNT is an online portal, we heavily depend on social media, like your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. So these are the platforms where we work, you know, where we see like the engagement of our readers, of our viewers on YouTube. It's very good. So this is one such platform where we try to give out information as much as we can. So like the question which you had asked, especially when it comes to election related news, we tend to be very careful with those, because sometimes we don't want to get into conflict with the ECI when it comes to, suppose now with your moral code of conduct, stuff like that, you know, conflicts with the law and everything like that. So we tend to be very careful with that. We have a set of team who checks all that.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Iba Kintil, sorry ma'am. Ms. Gargi, I'll go over to you as a youth rep. Young people today are very active on social media. They're very active in the fact that they use it almost most of the time awake, other than them sleeping. How important is for young people to understand that this is a tool for them to use in times of oppression, in times of dissent? What is your advice and what is your take on it, saying that, you know, it is a double sword? How can we use it in the right way?
Okay, so as the youth of our country and our state, I believe that social media is something which is so helpful for all of us, and everything has a good side and a bad side. So we are always supposed to look at the brighter side and always put our efforts to be able to extract the good things from everything. So what I feel is the youth should always be very careful. This age, the age group which we call as the youth is very, the mind of the youth is so skeptical, and at times they're very moody. So we need to, all of us as individuals need to make sure that everything we do and everything, whatever, all the fields and everything in our life has a good side and a bad side, but we're supposed to extract only the good things. The youth in context to elections, I would say that, the youth comprises a very big percentage of the population, and if youth doesn't participate for elections in every stage of election, then it would impact on the democracy. So this is what I would say.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gargi. Mr. Mayborn, you understand the fact that, I think so, I've seen you over the few months, that how important it is for us to use social media. Again, we've seen that social media itself creates conflict. What is the most important thing when young people use social media, especially even if it's for awareness or anything? How important is to have a conflict resolution on social media? How to be able to understand whatever comes on social media is not supposed to be taken with a hot-headed mind or with a mind that will create a riot or something or the other.
So that is a very important topic, and that is a very important issue that we are currently facing. Like, for example, just as the topic states, social media is a double-edged sword. So when we are talking about a double-edged sword, it means it is sharp on both sides. If we are to talk about the consumption of the population in the world when it comes to social media and the internet, it's 4.5 billion. 4.5 billion people are using the internet as we are speaking right now. And out of the 4.5 billion people, there is also a lot of content that is being uploaded. 85% of whatever is being uploaded into the social media platforms as news turns out to be fake. 85%. So we are talking about a very huge percentage here. And as we all know that the youths of today's generation are so very easily driven by whatever is being posted on social media. As you all know that the mob is always stupid. The mob is always stupid. There is always a control mechanism that is controlling someone like an invisible hand. This technique has been used in the 1940s by Hitler. It has been used prior to that. It has also been used by Mussolini and all in different ways. But at this very moment, we are having people who are controlling the internet, who are controlling the content that is being uploaded to the internet, and what is to be fed to the younger generation. So as you can see, just like what happened in the United States very recently, when it comes to George Floyd, no one knows exactly who is responsible, why did that happen to George Floyd, why did he die? But the only thing that we are being fed, that it is something that has to do with some racial discrimination. The event that culminated after the George Floyd incident was that so many innocent people, both whites and blacks, are being attacked. One man has died, but after that, hundreds and thousands also face the wrath of the incident. So if we are to look at countries like Germany and the other European countries, there are students and children, there is an age limit for them to consume what app to consume at what age. In India, that is yet to be implemented. And that is also the reason why we are seeing India becoming one of the countries in the world with the highest criminal records. And these criminal records that we are having in India is between the age group of 20 below. 20 below. So when it comes to your question again, what is to be fed? The government is one who should understand that we cannot be fed everything that is there on the internet, particularly the younger generation. There should be a censor board where everything should be censored, and there should also be a kind of a mechanism where things can be controlled, because at the end of the day, the government can control everything if they want to, but it should not affect the democracy of the country, it should not affect the right to freedom of speech and expression, and it should not affect the right of each and every single individual, irrespective of age, sex, race, or their place of birth.
Thank you, Ms. Mayborn. Ms. Iban I think so. Mr. Mayborn made a very important part, is that of censoring. You're from the media, and a lot of media houses always push for free speech. Like no one should censor what content goes online, because we cannot trust any mechanism, as we've seen. And I think so. A lot of the whatever press clubs that are out there, they've always pushed for a no censoring by the government. What is your view on that, ma'am?
Okay. See, when we write reports, when we push out news, and when we feed information to the public, what we do is, like, of course, there are certain news which we cannot give all the information and detail because of the certain prohibitions and certain acts and laws, like your POCSO Act, where we are not allowed to reveal the identity and the place, the residence of the victim. So those are the things which we keep in mind, because we don't want to come into trouble, with the law. And also, as a responsible journalist, we have to keep that in mind. But when it comes to your, like Mayborn had mentioned, your free speech and your right to expression, this is the thing where in the media we have like a column where we have a section where there is, it's called the opinion section, where people and citizens, our readers, can share the opinions, can send us the letters. Like in newspapers, you have letters to the editor. In the online portal, you have your opinion section or your Write For Us section. Those are the section where we provide for our readers to write, to express their voice, to express themselves. So, and by saying that, having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean that we will take everything. Then after a copy is sent to us, what we do is we filter that copy to see if it doesn't tarnish anybody's image. If suppose now if Mayborn comes up with the topic and he sends to me, and that topic is all about allegations, leveling allegations against another individual. So those are things which we have to look into, because when it comes to a news section, you have to be balanced. You have to take both sides, and of course the opinion section. But even if it's an opinion section, it has to make sense. It just can't be like you throwing allegation against another person. Like it has the capacity, like you had mentioned earlier, that social media has the capacity the potential to tarnish or make or break anyone. So that is the thing. Like when you talk about censorship, we have certain filtering process. When it comes to that.
Thank you, Ms. Iban. I'll go over to Mr. Isaacson. Sir, is there a possibility that the Election Commission, especially during election time, filter out news, especially because a lot of time there's a thing called paid news? Is there a possibility, or is there a mechanism already available in the Election Commission that ensures that paid news does not come over to the people, and especially the young people, for their awareness?
Yes, we have something called a media monitoring cell, which is activated during the election time. This media monitoring cell is comprises of around, depending on the size of the constituency where the election is happening, it depends. It's manned by around 5 to 10 officers who watch and observe all the media channels. And also these days of late, we are watching YouTube, and we're also monitoring other social media activities over here, Facebook also. So wherever we feel that something is paid news, something called paid news, and the candidate is trying to circumvent the law and get the media on his side, in those type of circumstances, action is taken and notice is sent, and based on the reply, various other penalties are drawn up.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'll go again to Ms. Gargi. Ma'am, since you're a young person, so we can relate in a better model when we can understand of the fact of social media as a tool. How well do you think as the Election Commission in totally, as well as the Chief Electoral Officer of Meghalaya, use its pages on social media to get over to young people, to involve young people in any of their activities? Recently, I think so, there was the revisions, right? The summary revision. How well do you think has that information from the Election Commission come by social media to you, to your fellow friends?
So I would say the youth are getting more involved into election because of social media. It has impacted very well to the youth, and like never before, the youth is getting involved into elections and the other aspects of elections. They are taking interest. It is, I would want to believe that it is not entirely, but mostly because of social media. And I think through social media, if you want to target the youth, then social media is the only platform which has helped the candidates to spread awareness and to appeal for vote to the youth.
So I was asking you, ma'am, the question is, I'll just come to it back again. Were you aware through social media of the current summary revision that was conducted by the Election Commission?
Me, as an individual, I was not aware of it through social media. I got to know about it through my parents at home, because I, being from a particular field, I was very busy with the other aspects. So currently I was not aware about it through social media, but through family, honestly.
Thank you so much, Miss. So we've come to a bit of the closing of the first session, that is a bit of the introductory remarks. as well as the opening statements of our speakers. So we don't have audiences here today, so we can ask, does the audience have any question? But we did conduct a survey through the electoral literacy clubs that we form in over 25 schools in the state of Meghalaya. And the questions have come in, and we have selected 3 best questions that are open to the panelists. All of you can take. It's related to the agenda. So the first question that we got in was that in today's world, social media is the best platform to get any news. However, print media still has a relevance. The question that a person asks is it time that candidates should not just leave print media, but also use social media hand in hand?
Okay, can I answer?
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay. People have always said, always make remarks like with the advancement of technology and advancement of the internet, the print media will close down. However, that is not true, entirely true. Of course, there are some newspapers, magazines that have closed down because of the advancement of digital media. But if you look at the age group, particularly the elderly people, they will still believe in whatever the newspapers say or whatever the magazine says. Like even now, till now, the Time magazine is still doing well. So those are the things which when people make remarks like that, like newspapers will close down or magazine houses will close down. That is, I think it will take another 10 to 20. Maybe they're not going to close down also. So, and coming to your next question, what was the next question?
Next question is it time for the Election Commission to concentrate solely on social media to get the awareness of young people?
I think we should take a look, take advantage of both the media, both the medium. You can take advantage of the print medium and even the digital. Because nowadays, if you look at it, right from our president to our prime minister to our chief minister to our education minister, all of them have accounts on Twitter or Facebook and even on Instagram. Like today morning, when our Prime Minister Narendra Modi had launched the COVID-19 vaccination drive, I did not switch on the television. All I did was I just went to Twitter and checked out what was going on. What time did he launch the drive, through which medium, and I also wanted to know where our Chief Minister was going to be this morning. So I need not call up his PA or PS to find out where he is, but our Chief Minister is very active on social media. So everything is like it's being fed to us, on Twitter. And that is why, when you look at it, these famous personalities in our country, all of them have a social media team to keep track of what is happening across the world, to reply to comments, to react, to likes, to reshare. So that, in this entire process becomes easy for us as journalists to consume these information and then make it into a news and feed the public. And when it comes to the election commission, the election department to take advantage of these medium, I feel like they can, because they are doing it now also. It's not that they have not done it; they are doing it. But I would suggest that they don't leave the print media aside. Of course, they can go hand in hand. But with the digital media, they have more possibilities to explore. Like you cater to the needs of your young voters. The way you present your information, the way the format that you adopt, the style of editing, the design. Everything that appeals to the youth, because according to researches which has been done, it has been proven that with the advancement of social media, the number of the participation, the engagement of the youth in the electoral process has increased over the years. So I feel the election department should take advantage of both the medium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maybon. Would you like to add to that?
I think everything has been added by
Okay, fine. So the next question was on the fact of rural areas. Despite the fact that internet connectivity is at its highest at the moment in our city, a lot of areas speak about Shillong. A lot of areas in Shillong itself do not have proper internet connection. And social media needs internet connection. How can the Election Commission think for these areas? No doubt print media is one, but engaging those young people is still very important. And we all know it's a fact that young people today do not read news. They do not open the newspaper as a generation ago. What is the other alternative that Election Commission thinks of at this moment to reach out to those youth? I would like Mr. Isaac to begin, because it's a question to Election Commission. How would they reach out to young people who are not active in social media due to internet connection, especially in rural areas?
For this, we have something called the sweep program, basically where we have outreach programs. Basically, in this program, very often here in East Castles, what we do is we hire a team of people, media houses. These people go to rural, remote areas where they have no internet connectivity, hold dramas, skits, plays, something where they can interact with the public, basically. So in a rural area, like we're assuming that they don't have electricity even to watch TV, so a roadside skit over there helps a lot. So that's where we try to attract the attention of the youth or the people in the marketplace. So they go to the bazaar, normally the bazaar day, the big market day, and then they have these programs. So ECI does give funding for this sweep program every single year, and normally we hold this in October, November, December, January, but this year because of COVID we couldn't do it, but then this is there every year. So this is meant specifically for people without internet connectivity.
Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am or Ms. Mebon, anything would you like to?
I think that is the initiative that the department should take.
Ms. Gal?
The way they have taken the initiative to spread awareness to the youth, because the internet connectivity is not available there. I think that is the best way possible and the only way possible.
So the last question for the open round is the fact related to US elections. Social media was used to an extent in the US elections that it created a riot, the storming of the Capitol as we know it. How dangerous is social media in this aspect? The fact of the matter is that a single switch in the social media can create such a big issue. How can young people look at this and understand that they are responsible when they use social media? Every word, every picture they put online is permanent. Even though they have the delete button with them, but once it goes online, it's permanent. What do you think young people should think about before posting? What are the important points that we should give them before posting anything online? Mr. Mebon, I'd love you to start on this.
See, just like I said, in today's world, the internet plays a very important role, and like I've used the United States as an example earlier with George Floyd. So the same thing happened with the storming of the US Capitol, where social media is being used as a weapon. Let's not go too far, let's just come back to our own state, where social media has been used as a weapon. In recent years, like if we go back to 1992, in 1997, there has been riots, but the riots were not as big as it is right now. The riots were there in 1992 and 1997, but the riots were being tamed. But the riots that is going on right now in our state, it does not stop boiling. It does not stop boiling. Why it does not stop boiling? It's because of social media. Everything that is happening in and around the world is being affected directly by social media. So, based on the question, how can the youth understand the use of social media? See, like particularly the youths of our state, let's talk only of our state. They like to follow trends. For them, everything that is viral is a trend. Everything that's viral, it's a trend. Let's start with the Me Too movement that started in the United States. That started as a movement to help the people who were really abused. But it turned out to be a trend. People started posting Me Too movement everywhere, and it is being abused. The Me Too movement was being abused, even in our very own state. Then if we move forward, we move very quickly forward and we check at what the youth of our state is doing. They do not know anything about the process of the election in our state. They do not know who is the minister, who is the MLA. They don't even know who is the candidate of their own constituency. And they are debating about things that are happening in the United States of America. So, the youths will have to change their mindset if we are to move forward. And when I say change the mindset, they must first understand who they are. The youths in today's generation, they do not know who they are. They have to also understand where they are from, why they are using social media, why they are commenting, debating on this, what profit is it going to come from that. And again, if we come to our very own state, people from West Bengal are inciting the people in our state, and the people in our state are reacting. Yes, the mob is stupid, but the mob, it's time for the mob, particularly the younger generations, to understand that it is time to move forward. And if you take a look at what is happening in our state, the ones who are being used are the teens who are under 18. You go to a riot. I've been to so many rallies. It's always the youths who are under 18 who are at the start of the line. Do you know why? Because they cannot be arrested. The youths are being used. Some of them, they lose an eye. Some of them, they are being shot with rubber bullets. And at the end of the day, when someone's initiative and objective is being met, they are being left. They are being used, abused, and then left to suffer. So if the youths of our state do not understand, do not move forward from the 1979 that is being put so very blatantly and outright in social media. 1979 was a time when we were not born. We do not know what happened in 1979. And if you are talking about 1979, you must also go back and talk about 1835. What happened in 1835? That's basic history. The youth do not know anything. So they should go back in history, study history, move forward, come back to the reality, come back to the contemporary, and understand what are the duties and how can they move forward, whether they want to live in 1979, 1992, 1997, or they want to come back and live in the reality of 2021 as one and move forward to progress and excel, not to burn each other down.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayborn, for that. Ms. Gargi, do you have something to say?
I would agree to Mr. Mayborn Lindo, and it is true that youth sometimes, the youth, they don't really know what to do, and they don't really sometimes know what they're doing. But as they are young, the state and the knowledgeable people should take an initiative to educate the youth of our state so that they don't make such mistakes in the future. The youth is actually the future of our state and our country, and they really, really should be educated in every possible field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gargi. Ms. Iba, do you have any tips for young people on how to use social media in order to not incite violence, and when they get such fake news or such news that create communal tension, should they deal with it? Do you have anything?
I feel this all starts from home, It starts from home, and it starts with your peers, and then it moves on to your education system. Because if your family, suppose now, no offense to anyone, if you come from a family who is a communal family, who treats another person from another community as an outsider, and obviously that person will look at the other person as an outsider. So like Mayborn had mentioned, that we need to come out of that mindset, because at the end of the day we cannot live in isolation. You know, we need one another. But having said that doesn't mean that we will let go of everything. Of course, it is our responsibility to hold on to our roots. But that doesn't mean that we neglect the other community. And like the theme, the topic of this discussion is rightly mentioned that social media is a double-edged sword. And we know that you had mentioned the example of the US Capitol. We saw how Twitter had permanently banned Donald Trump for his inciting tweets. And you know, in Meghalaya during the Motprand clash, during the re-emergence of the Ichamati issue, and in Assam, Mizoram during the Assam-Mizoram border clash. So these are the things when, you know, the government had to take all those extreme steps of, you know, suspending your internet connection, because during the Motprand clash, it was because of one fake news that you know, the clash had erupted, and it went out of control. So I feel like, you know, different mechanisms should be adopted, you know, to curb the you know, the anything going out of proportion.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, can I just add something
Yes,
to
yes,
that?
Mr. Mayborn.
Yes. And also another thing, why social media posts are going out of proportions, it's also because the people who are responsible for inciting all of these crimes, they are not being arrested.
Exactly.
They are not being arrested. FIR has been lodged against them. The FIR remains an FIR. The file keeps on turning from table to table, and nothing is being done. So if you take a look at right from 2018 till now, there has been a handful of people who are responsible for putting us in this pressure cooker, and they are still out there in the open, not being arrested, and still inciting communal tensions between communities that are living here peacefully. Meghalaya has not seen any communal tensions right from 1997 until 2018. Until 2018. So what changed in 2018, and why nothing has been done till now? That is the question that I'm still asking the government, and I will keep on asking the government, why are you not doing anything?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayborn. So I will not take this any longer with the open questions, because we have to wrap up the show, and in a few moments from now we have 2 more parts of the show that is left. So thank you so much, panelists, for answering the open questions. Now we'll be going for specific questions to the field that you're in. Questions related to the topic that you're in the field. We'll begin with Ms. Gargi, because we ended with you during the opening statements. So Ms. Gargi, you're in a field that is that can be called a social influencing field. A field that has a very strong impact on what people see, and a lot of people do follow you, do understand, do read your posts and stuff. What is your view when it comes to electoral awareness, to electoral campaigns that is done by the Election Commission? How responsible should a pageant be, a miss, whatever miss, okay, how responsible should a miss be in times of election? How responsible it is for a social influencer to say, go out and vote?
So, me representing the state and now the country, I should be an individual who is well aware about all the aspects of elections. The youth of our state and also our country, a certain amount of people, they look forward, they try to follow the trend, and as a trend I would say the pageants, the female crowd, the young girls and boys, they follow me, and they would always have an eye on what I am posting and what I am doing. So I, as an individual, should be very much educated about all the aspects of election, and should encourage the youth to take part, to take equal part, because they consist a very big population which really impacts the democracy, and their opinion and their thoughts, their actions really matters for the development of the state and also the country.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gargi. I'll go over to Mr. Mayborn. You're a writer, a social writer, I'd say, who writes on very pertaining social issues. As a writer, putting out the message of electoral awareness, putting out the message of go out and vote or go out and register, how important is for you to work hand in hand with the election department, even without them inviting you or even without them sending an official notice? But because it's a social issue, how important is, do you think, for you to take part in such drive?
Well, with regards to that question, I'm always open to work hand in hand with the election department, and I'm always open to work for the betterment of the society. And when it comes, I think, when it comes to how we publicize that it is important for each and every single individual to vote, is we put this: do you want to become a slave? See, what is happening is that the youths do not understand we are becoming slaves of the representatives that we do not like because we do not vote. We do not come out to vote. So we become slaves of these people for 5 years. Then in the next 5 years, again we decide not to vote. Then we become slaves for 10 years. Then we become slaves for 15 years. By the time our children will become slaves, and our children's children will become slaves of these people. So this trend has been going on ever since India got its independence, and it is going on till now. So the message that I will want to put to the youths is, do you still want to be a slave? If yes, then continue with your ways, do not vote. If no, then let's be a part of the change, and let's change in the next election.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayborn. Ms. Iban Kintil, the question for you is, nowadays paid news is a thing that is going again and again. How do you ensure that the media house does not get tagged that name of a paid news media house?
See, this is a big challenge, for a media house, because to be branded as a media house that is pro this or pro that party, that itself it crushes our our reputation and our motivation, inspiration to work. So, especially during elections time, what we do is we tend to follow, of course, a certain trend where we see that we do not publicize only a particular party or parties or a candidate or candidates, but we give equal opportunity. And because sometimes if you sit in the desk, you don't know what your field correspondent, your field reporters are doing. Maybe they're getting money for that news. Maybe they're asking us to push that news forward. So that's why in the media house it's very important for the field reporter and the desk to work hand in hand to ensure that that particular news that they want us to push is not paid news. That is why it's very dicey when it comes to elections time. When the news that you print, the news that you publish, you feed the public, it becomes very it's a crucial time for us, because we don't want to be tagged as this media house belongs to this person, is being run by this person. That's why they're carrying that's why we tend to make sure that we carry both sides of the story. We don't just bash the government. We also, of course, if something is good, something has been done by the government or by a particular politician, we tend to highlight that, but it doesn't mean that that is paid news. So I think that the readers should understand, should differentiate between a paid news and a news, a genuine news report.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Isaac, sir, since it came over from Mr. Mayborn, and I'm going to use in my question, the fact that young people do not know their own contestants of their own constituency, will the Election Commission or even your office in the next coming election consider posting in your pages the contestants contesting in each constituencies?
Right now, this is already being done. We are posting it, the assets, for example, that we declare their assets and all. That's already being done on the notice board physically in the offices. But what you have said, I'm sure the ECI will come up with some norms in the next elections, most probably, whereby all these details will be posted on their website. We are already posting it on our district website. But maybe, like what you're saying, maybe they might go one step ahead and come out on Facebook and other social media platforms. That's not for me to decide. I'm too small down here. Somebody, the higher ups will definitely take care of it. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
I would like to suggest something to the election department, because we're talking about social media. So I think you should take advantage of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram especially, because there are many followers, young followers on Instagram. So I think you should come up with a particular format, which caters to their, which appeals to the youth. Like suppose now 2023 Meghalaya elections, particular constituencies, say East Shillong. So, like you have know your constituency kind of pointers, or know your candidate pointers. I think like if you push those graphics every day. I mean, even if your readers, young readers, don't want to just scroll down, they at least know that okay, fine, this person is contesting for my constituency. I feel like those kind of things should be done by the
definitely that should be done, and I've never thought of it in Instagram.
Yeah.
We have been thinking of it, doing it in Facebook, but I guess the latest trend is Instagram.
Yes.
So I'll definitely put it up to my bosses, and let's see what they'll do.
Thank you so much, sir. So I hope we've had a very good discussion, I believe, because ideas have come up over here through a small panel discussion. So we'll go to the closing remarks and a message from each of you to young voters, to especially National Voters Day, that's on 25th January. You can think of a message that you want to speak out to all of the viewers who will be watching this, a message from you to them related to the topic. You can think about it. I'll begin from Mr. Mayborn, sir.
Okay. So, like a message to the young voters is the same. Do you want to be a slave, or do you want to be free? If you want to be free, then let's work, let's vote, and let's change the outlook of our state and the outlook of how our future is going to be. We are no longer slaves of anyone here. We will change the people. We will have the people that can look after us, not the people we have to look after. Just like, for example, if we take a look at our representatives, they can't represent us. They do not know anything about us. So we have to change that. We will have to put them in the back seat, and we are going to drive them where we want to drive them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayborn. That was a very strong message. Ms. Gargi?
I would want to say use social media positively, make the best out of it. Also, I would want to say that stay updated with the current situation of your state, and also know the difference. News and social media are two different things. News, they're not supposed to be biased. They are supposed to just put forward the facts to us, but this is not the same case with social media. You should be very much aware of what's going on around, and make the best out of social media is what I would say.
Thank you, Ms. Gargi. Ms. Iban Kentil?
Well, what I want to tell our young voters is that, India is a young country, and that means you will be the one who will lead the country one day. So I feel like it is your responsibility as young leaders to go out and vote, because your vote matters.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sir?
I would only like to say that there's management thinkers called Alban and Verba. These people have said that the success of the British democracy, the British democratic system, is basically because of the bureaucracy which allowed change to happen, but moderated it. Now social media is such a new thing, and it's developed so rapidly in the past 10 years. We in the government, me as a part of the government machinery, a bureaucrat, we are finding it difficult to catch up and bring about control mechanisms. We do something, we react to social media, then the problem will be that we might end up creating martyrs who will actually further the cause of their dissent. So as a bureaucrat, we cannot allow and we cannot react immediately without looking at the consequences. So this is a time where I request the youth to actually, learn. This is somewhere where you can teach us actually. The youth can teach the people in the bureaucracy, the people in the government. It is up to you to decide what is correct and what is wrong. It is, you have matured much faster than what we have matured in our time. So it's a huge responsibility on all of you. And my only request is that you listen to all sides of the story, you judge it properly before you react to anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all of the panelists. So we've had a very good discussion today. The fact that social media, as important as it is, can sometimes turn itself on us, attack us itself, and create issues with our lives. My fellow young friends watching this right now, remember, you have a finger, and the button is your control. Even in the election mechanism, we say the finger and the button changes everything. Even in social media, it's the same thing. Whatever you post online stays online. Whatever you say online stays online. Use your words wisely. Know to judge a story. Understand both sides. Never take a side until you know what are the two sides of the coin. Thank you so much to my panelists, from Mr. Mebon, Ms. Iban Kinteo, Mr. Isaac, and Ms. Gargi. This is Meshwa Kupar Mautwa, the moderator of this panel discussion, as well as the project director of the Electoral Literacy Clock project that is conducted by the Chief Electoral Officer in collaboration with Meghalaya MUN. Before I say goodbye, I would say thank you, Kublai Methela. Stay safe, take care. Until we meet again, bye-bye.